So now let's talk about fiscal policy. Now, the two main tools of fiscal policy. The first being government expenditure, which includes both government consumption expenditure, such as salaries paid to public school teachers, and government investment, such as spending on a major infrastructure project. And the second tool being taxation, which includes both direct taxes, which are not imposed on transactions, but rather on the actual amount of income or wealth an individual has, such as personal income taxes and corporate taxes. And secondly, we have indirect taxes, which depend upon transactions, such as we have sales tax and we have custom duty and yeah. So now we want to look at how fiscal policy affects aggregate demand. Now it can affect it directly through government purchases because government purchases is a component of aggregate demand, where aggregate demand is C plus I plus G. Or it can affect aggregate demand indirectly through taxation, which affects consumption and investment, each being components of aggregate demand. Now let's look at the objectives of fiscal policy. Now the short-term objective is that the tax is a counter-cyclical measure to bring output back to potential level. Whereby counter-cyclical, we mean that it moves opposite to the business cycle because the idea is that automatic stabilizers, by definition, are counter-cyclical, but they're not enough to bring the economy back to potential output, so we need an additional discretionary fiscal response. Now, the medium-term objective of fiscal policy is to maintain debt sustainability, i.e. want to keep the debt at a level so that we can pay it back on time without any sharp changes in fiscal policy. Now, when we talk about fiscal policy, we have two concepts. The first is multipliers, which basically help us to amplify the initial impact of fiscal policy. And here we can have the government spending multiplier as well as a tax multiplier. The second is crowding out effect, which essentially offsets some of the initial impact of fiscal policy.